Australia could formally recognise Palestine as an independent state before a two-state solution is actually achieved. It's a move the opposition claims would reward terrorists for the October 7 attacks on Israel. Political correspondent Olivia Caisley joins me. So, Olivia, the Foreign Minister suggesting a debate here, but, by suggesting it, does she essentially say she supports it, is what the opposition's saying?
Yes, so I guess the key difference that we've seen in the rhetoric today is that Foreign Minister Penny Wong suggesting a change in the timeline, so that being the recognition of a Palestinian state ahead of that two-state solution. And if Australia were going to do this, it would be joining the vast majority of countries in the United Nations, around 140 of the member states. But at the moment, no major Western democracy has this position, and especially none of our major allies in the Five Eyes, for example. But we have seen a change in rhetoric over the past couple of months from the like of UK Foreign Secretary David Cameron, for example, who says that the UK is considering recognition of Palestine, and then also Joe Biden as well, who has certainly toughened up his language around Israel's handling of that conflict in the Middle East. It is important to note that when Penny Wong made these comments, she did add some pretty major caveats. So the three are, one, that Hamas would not have a role in any future Palestinian state. They could not threaten Israel. And there'd also have to be some pretty major reform of the Palestinian Authority. Here's Senator Wong expressing that position this morning, as well as the Prime Minister and the Treasurer's response.
The way to think about this is, in fact, ensuring that there is a pathway to peace emboldens moderates. Because it requires both sides to live side by side in peace. And we need to find a way a pathway to peace out of the current conflict.
Nothing has changed in Australian government position of support for a two-state solution and support for peace, security, stability and prosperity in the Middle East.
It would help ensure that we keep Hamas out of the future governance of Palestine.
The comments have been welcomed by pro-Palestinian advocates, as well as those in Labor that have been pushing for many years for the party to change this question of statehood. But on the other side of things, we have seen some pro-Israel groups pretty unhappy with Senator Wong's commentary today, and the opposition as well certainly drawn the ire of them. They say quite sensationally that recognising Palestine first would be essentially rewarding terrorism for those October 7 attacks. We've also heard from the Shadow Home Affairs Minister James Paterson this morning, and he says that the government's just trying to win back voters that it's lost over its handling of the issue.
One is that the government actually has no intention of following through and prematurely recognising unilaterally a Palestinian state, in which case Penny Wong is irresponsibly playing to a domestic political audience on a hugely sensitive international security issue, or
I just want to quickly show you these pictures of Anthony Albanese. He has been touring some of the flood-affected regions of the Northern Rivers region of New South Wales this morning, and he's basically been confronted by a big group of pro-Palestinian protesters. And this is very much in line with what we've seen on the world stage for other Western leaders, such as US President Joe Biden, for example, and I guess speaks to some of the domestic implications of the conflict in the Middle East. And it is a highly emotive issue, and there are growing domestic concerns about the huge loss of life and also the deaths of those aid workers last week in Gaza, including an Australian.